Democratic Congress. Congressman David Ciciline of Rhode Island is expected to be chair of the subcommittee on regulatory reform and antitrust law in the new Congress, putting him in a position to spearhead congressional action on Facebook next year. He joins me now. Congressman, you issued a very strong statement after the New York Times story yesterday. What did you learn from that story, and what are your concerns?
Well, I think the story is very, very disturbing. It's an example of what happens with this tremendous concentration of economic power, which is very often accompanied with a concentration of political power. And Democrats ran on a commitment to really understand and focus on this issue. We've seen these mega mergers continue, this tremendous concentration of economic power, and the impact it's having on consumers and on privacy and on the marketplace are significant. So we need to understand what happened here. We need to be doing everything we can to prevent it from happening again. There are not easy solutions to this, but we ought to begin with serious hearings to understand exactly what happened here. And then we need to begin to really develop some policies that will respond to this. There's a lot of smart people that have begun to think about this. There aren't easy answers, but we should all be very disturbed about the revelations in that reporting about the behavior of Facebook. And they're not only slow walking this, but engaging in this sort of political campaign to distract and dissuade and minimize what are some very serious issues of misconduct. So this is a serious issue. We have to focus on protecting consumers' privacy, about the rights of consumers to protect their data, and we've got to force companies like Facebook to be much more transparent about what's going on.
Well, you talked about your economic and political power. I want to get your reaction to the reporting in the story that says the minority leader in the Senate for the Democrats, Chuck Schumer, essentially ran interference for the company as the heat was being turned up on them with members of the Democratic caucus in the other house of Congress, essentially to tamp it down and to not go so hard at Facebook. What do you think of that?
But I think this is an example. I mean, I took this important pledge to not take corporate PAC money in my reelection. I think this is just an example of why we've got to get money out of our political system so that folks can no longer be influenced by people who are making contributions to campaigns and really focus on developing good public policy. And this, you know, when you have the kind of economic power and the concentration of economic power that you see in a company like Facebook, it's very often accompanied by strong political power. And so we've got to break that connection and get money out of our political system. And, you know, I think that's going to be an important priority for Democrats. We've got a whole reform package to really address that issue. But this question about the behavior of this company and the way it's impacting the privacy interests of Americans and the consumers' right to make sure that their data is protected is very serious.
There's another part of that story I thought was interesting, which is about their ability to kind of get senators to back off. This is Senator Richard Burr that says Facebook lobbyists, this is when they came before the Senate Intel Committee about Russian interference. Facebook lobbyists had already worked the Intelligence Committee hard, asking that lawmakers refrain from questioning Ms. Sandberg about privacy issues. The argument was persuasive with Senator Burr, who was determined to avoid a circus-like atmosphere. A day before the hearing, he issued a stern warning to all committee members to stick to the topic of election interference. Will you be calling them before your committee to ask questions?
Absolutely. We need to have comprehensive hearings. I think you will see Democrats take a very active role in the House on getting to the bottom of this. We have a responsibility to get answers for the American people and to begin to think about solutions. These are very disturbing developments. What people expect from us is to bring those individuals before the committee, those companies, to learn what happened, to make sure we're thinking about solutions proactively to prevent these kinds of things from happening again, to protect data, protect privacy, think of competition-based solutions. We're going to be very vigorous in our oversight of this and really work in a collaborative way to come up with solutions to solve this problem.
All right, Congressman David Ciciline.